Next up, we're going to tackle the alarming rise in plane crashes and what experts say is behind this disturbing trend, which we've titled Flight Risk: Uncovering the Truth Behind Recent Plane Crashes. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the world of aviation safety, or lack thereof. We've seen a string of accidents that have left many wondering if commercial air travel is still safe.
Wow, this is really scary. I mean, I've been on a plane like twice in the past month, and now I'm freaking out. So, what's going on? Is it just a coincidence, or is there something more sinister at play?
Well, let's take a look at the numbers. According to the FAA, there have already been about 15 accidents or minor collisions involving commercial jets and smaller aircraft recorded this year in the United States. And if we look globally, 2024 was the deadliest year for aviation since 2018, with around 300 fatalities.
Hmm, that's a lot. I had no idea it was that bad. What do you think is causing this increase in incidents? Is it just human error, or is there something more to it?
Great question. Experts point to several factors, including the human factor, pilot and air traffic controller errors, fleet fatigue, infrastructure and maintenance issues, and extreme weather conditions. But one thing that really stands out to me is the age of these aircraft. I mean, we're talking about planes that have been in operation for decades.
Decades? That's insane. I mean, my car is like, 5 years old, and I'm already thinking about replacing it. How can a plane that's 20, 30 years old still be flying?
Right. It's crazy. And the thing is, the FAA has been criticized for allowing these older planes to remain in service. I mean, think about it. The technology, the materials, everything about these planes is outdated. It's a ticking time bomb.
That's so true. I was just reading about this small plane that crashed in São Paulo, and it was like 30 years old or something, and the impact caused an explosion, damaging several vehicles. It's just heartbreaking. Don't airlines have some kind of maintenance schedule or something to prevent this?
They do, but the problem is these schedules can be pretty lax. And even when there are issues, they might not necessarily ground the plane. I mean, it's all about prioritizing profit over passenger safety, unfortunately.
That's really disturbing. So, what can be done to address this issue? Shouldn't there be stricter regulations on aircraft retirement ages or something?
Absolutely. Stricter regulations are long overdue. I mean, we need to prioritize passenger safety over profit margins. And it's not just about the airlines. Governments and regulatory bodies need to step up and take action.
Right? Like, I don't know, maybe have a mandatory retirement age for planes or something. That way you can ensure that all aircraft are safe and up to date.
Exactly. And it's not just about the planes themselves, it's also about investing in better training for pilots and ground crews, improving infrastructure and maintenance, and monitoring weather conditions more closely. We need a multifaceted approach to address this issue.
That makes sense. I mean, I've heard of cases where pilots have had to make emergency landings due to severe turbulence or technical failures. It's just terrifying. So, what can passengers do to stay safe while flying?
Well, one thing passengers can do is choose airlines with a good maintenance track record and follow all safety protocols during flights. But ultimately, it's up to the industry as a whole to prioritize safety and make necessary changes to prevent these accidents from happening in the first place.
I see. So, it's like a collective effort, right? We all need to be aware of the risks and demand better from the airlines and regulatory bodies. I'm definitely going to think twice before booking my next flight.
Next up, we're going to tackle a topic that's been on everyone's mind lately: the recent surge in plane crashes and incidents. I'm talking, of course, about the alarming rate of accidents that have been plaguing the aviation industry, leaving many to wonder, are the skies still safe? We're going to dive into the possible causes behind these crashes and what experts say is being done to prevent them. So let's get started with this explosive topic: plane crashes, what's behind the sudden surge.
Hmm. Right. I've been following this story, and it seems like every other day there's a new incident. I mean, what's going on? Is it just a coincidence? Or is there something more to it?
Well, according to the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, there have already been about 15 accidents or minor collisions involving commercial jets and smaller aircraft recorded this year in the United States. And if we look at the reasons behind these accidents, we can see that they vary from human error to technical failures.
Okay. So it's not just one thing? I was thinking maybe it was just like a particular type of plane or something.
No, it's a combination of factors. Experts point out that the human factor, pilot, and air traffic controller errors continue to be one of the main causes of accidents. And then there's fleet fatigue. 90 aircraft have been in operation for decades, increasing the risk of mechanical failure.
That makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, cars can last for a long time, but planes are way more complex. So, it's like, how do we know when it's time to retire them?
Exactly. And that's where infrastructure and maintenance come in. Delays and reduced investment in airports and aircraft can impact safety. Plus, extreme weather conditions have been more frequent, increasing the risk of incidents.
Right. I've experienced some crazy turbulence on flights before. It's like you're just sitting there and suddenly the plane drops or something. It's terrifying.
I know what you mean. Investigations into these incidents must be monitored by the public to ensure that improvements are made.
Wait. So, you're saying that even though there have been more incidents, flying is still safe?
That's right. According to Bloomberg data, 2024 was the deadliest year for aviation since 2018, with around 300 fatalities globally. However, this number is still low when compared to the total volume of flights carried out.
Okay, I think I'm starting to understand. So it's like the probability of being in a plane crash is still really low.
Exactly. And with the increase in incidents, governments and companies are expected to invest more in operational safety, monitoring, and technology. Some measures that should be prioritized include aircraft modernization, improved training for pilots and ground crews, and better monitoring of weather conditions.
That makes sense. I mean, if we can use technology to predict weather patterns and stuff, maybe we can prevent some of these accidents from happening in the first place. But what about the lack of transparency in incident investigations? Doesn't that erode public trust?
Great point. The lack of transparency in incident investigations, such as the collision between the American Airlines jet and the Black Hawk helicopter, does indeed erode public trust and undermines efforts to improve aviation safety. It's like, if we don't know what went wrong, how can we fix it?
Right. I mean, think about it. If there was a car accident on the road, we'd want to know what happened, so we can prevent it from happening again. Why should it be any different with plane crashes? Do you think that's something that's going to change anytime soon?
Well, I think there's definitely a push for more transparency in incident investigations. And with the public demanding more accountability, I'm hopeful that we'll see some changes in the near future.
Okay, I hope so. Because, I mean, when you're on a plane, you just want to feel safe, you know? You don't want to be worrying about, oh no, is this plane going to crash?